if you see someone and you're not interested, excited, attracted in 5 seconds, swipe left. And I know that sounds mean, but women should be doing the same thing.
Be bold enough to say, this is exactly what I want, and be able to ask for it, because you'll be so surprised how quickly when you say, this is exactly what I want, how you'll start receiving it. I have a big belief in this, is that you cannot lose something you're meant to have.
Just because you have a beautiful interaction doesn't mean that that's it. And we're back. Episode 8 of Wife or Bust. I'm here with Joel, and we are getting this man a wife. Joel came to me and he was like, man, I love what you're doing. I'm excited for the book to come out because I'm a dating coach. And he is a coach himself, very successful, long-term life coach, amongst other things. And we're like, all right, we're gonna get this man a wife. Can we use Hinge in a way that is not only good for Joel's mental health, but also procures a really good wife so he can get on to having kids, a family, the whole nine, the American dream. So last episode, Joel had traveled to a bunch of different locations, and we discussed about how using the app can be difficult while you're bouncing around with limited time. We also talked about how kids is really a conversation that you need to have up front with any dating prospect, as well as like you just got to know what you want. Kids, is it okay if she has kids? Those kinds of things. So we're back, and the cliffhanger we had last time was you were in Reno, where you used to live, and that's where you used Hinge before you moved here to Austin.
Correct.
But you had a very different experience this time visiting home. Tell us how that went.
Yeah, so I was headed back to go to the Reno Rodeo, representing Reno Rodeo right now.
Nice.
Love going to the rodeo and working the rodeo. And I decided, okay, well, and of course my mom would love for me to come back to Reno. So a little bit for my mom too, a tip of the hat to my mother, of going, okay, I'll take the dating app and I'll drop it in Reno. And I didn't expect much, because last time that I was in Reno, about a year and a half ago when I was on Hinge, there just wasn't much. It seemed like it was pretty dry. I just wasn't connecting with the people that were on Hinge. I was like, man, what's going on? And I also didn't have this updated profile. And so here, a year and a half later, which isn't a huge amount of time, and with this updated profile, I had a huge amount of hits again.
Wow.
In terms of likes. I want to say it was a total of 30 total likes, shifting it over to Reno. And I did that about a week beforehand of going to Reno. And I ended up getting in connection with 2 women who both I was not only just attracted to, but had some really good conversations. I was like, oh, I didn't expect this in Reno, particularly coming from Greenville and then Virginia Beach and Charlotte. I was just like, wow, these are like some really good conversations that I'm having with some really beautiful women. And one was directly in Reno. The other one was just over the hill, because remember, I have mine set at about 80-mile radius, which I don't know if I need to.
That's a big radius.
That's a big radius.
Yeah.
Tighten that in a little bit.
That's like if that radius was an asteroid hitting the Earth, that would be apocalyptic. Yeah, just for reference. You have apocalyptic dating radius.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna put that on my profile.
Hey, other weirder things have worked. Dude. Yeah, but it makes sense when you're traveling. Yeah. You just don't know who you're going to connect with. So you're casting a wide net, and maybe it's a needle in the haystack. That's really what Hinge is. And I don't know if we've talked about that, but you have to have this mentality of needle in the haystack approach. Right. So it's like casting a wide net is not a bad thing. That's actually one of the benefits of it. But I imagine when you're traveling, it's just a lot to sift through in logistics of meeting up with people. But and I want to get back to your story. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just had to shamelessly plug what we've worked on.
100%.
When Joel's talking about, in case you haven't seen episodes 1, but primarily 2 and 3, because that's where we worked on your Hinge profile. Yep. We have a free guide that you upload to the AI of your choice, and it will enhance your profile. And it's not gimmicky. It's about using what you already have and really exhibiting that well to differentiate from everyone else on the apps and to weed through the chaff that you don't want when it comes to dating people. So that's free. And any of the links in any of our socials, you can find my book launch. I wrote a book on dating. It's being published in 2 months, and that guide is free when you sign up to get your free digital copy and leave a review when it comes out. So shameless plug over. It's really neat, because that's home for you. That's home base. So you have the contrast of how you used to approach it, even though you're very much the same person. I mean, granted, it's been 18 months, you evolved.
Sure. Yeah, there's some growth.
But being able to go back and be like, whoa, is this a different city? And like getting this kind of attention and connections.
Yeah.
What else happened while you were there?
So I tried to get the connected, and I was working the rodeo, so I had some pretty limited time, and I was also with my parents and spending time with my parents. And so it's one of those things that I realized as I travel, it's something that I need to start pushing that pin weeks in advance, because we're talking about, using an app, which isn't going to be quick in terms of communications, and then trying to be able to get the phone number, and then you get the phone number, and then you start getting to know each other. And then I'm finding about when I initiate and engage in a conversation just with my time, right? I'm doing about 10 minutes on Hinge a night on average.
Yeah.
And if not less at times, where there's a couple days I go by. But I am finding that it takes about 7 a week to be able to like have the conversations, get to the point of getting the number, get on a call or book a date. 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
And being able to take that in consideration, particularly when I'm travel, I didn't, right? I did it a week before Monday. I was coming in on Thursday. I was thinking, like, oh, that's plenty enough time. And by the time I was leaving, that's when it was like, oh, yeah, no, we can meet up and this and there. But I didn't come into consideration of like, oh, you have a life too.
Yeah.
Like,
let me just drop in.
Yeah.
What are you up to?
I'm just going to be here for the next 3 days. Can you drop everything that you're doing and
Yeah.
meet me over at the rodeo so we can go swing dancing? That's such a naive way for me to think.
Yeah.
And I'm learning, right? And so this other girl was on the other side of the hill. So she was about 2 hours away. And I believe that's why
hill.
casted. Yeah. That's why I casted the net, because in Reno, you have the Sierra Nevadas that basically split the corner of Nevada and California. And you have Sacramento and Auburn and other cities that are just right over the hill, which are relatively easy to be able to get to. And so casting, I'm now realizing like I had that bigger net because I wanted to cast over to the other side of the mountain. And I did. I connected with a really neat girl, shared values, and both of them, I explained to them, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm currently at. This is home base. This is home for me. I will be back. I don't expect, for you to wait or to like. And if you're still on Hinge, and I know that I'm coming back, are you open to me reaching back out?
Oh, that's interesting. Continue.
And both of them were like, yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty neat, because a lot of times, at least what I've noticed in Austin, and this is where I have a lot of experience, being on the apps, in between relationships, post-divorce, all that, but it's all in the same place. And so I've actually not moved my pin around. So I'm learning a lot through your experience. I would say most of my clients or the people I talk to are typically, they're looking for somebody where they live. Obviously, there's other apps like Raya where people are all over the place, and that comes with a slew of issues. So it's really neat that you set the expectation. They were very open to it. And I think that says a lot about your intentionality. And maybe that's a tip for anyone listening, is like, you don't need to hide the truth, because when you lead with the truth, they're actually more receptive to accepting it. Whether that's like, I don't know, complications of or remnants, baggage of a previous relationship, whether that's like your own weaknesses, or they're like, hey, I'm not from here, but would you be open if I come back around or I move back or something like that? So I think it's really big of you to lead with that. And that's a pro move. Right there. Plus, like, that's a really good point too. You almost have to have a minor in cartography to understand like the distance of the radiance on your radius on your app. So that's another pro tip too. There's another thing I was going to say about this whole experience, and I guess it goes to show that you have to have some forethought with planning out your trips if you want to do this on the app. So based off your experience, if someone's traveling a lot, like your home base is Austin for context, but if someone's traveling a lot, would you say it was worth the effort for this trip between like all the places on the East Coast and Reno to do this kind of thing? Or was it like really difficult and you wish you were just more present in your travels?
I believe it depends on your capacity. So somebody that has, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, and when I ask them, hey, will you look at your app, if they're using Hinge, will you look at your app and tell me what your weekly is? And on average, people who are using the app are about an hour to an hour and 15.
A day?
A day that I've asked.
Too much.
Too much. But you get into this cycle of like, it's very social media, right? It's, oh, that's nice. And I can only imagine if you're an hour, how many different conversations that you might be having at a time. And with running, multiple businesses and, run this podcast and, things are going on with life, there's only a certain limit that I have. And so I found by dropping these different pins, again, like I was telling you, anything's possible, but it's almost like how I audit my time weekly. I go back and I look at my time, and I'm always adjusting my days to be able to see how much time I'm actually spending on things, because it's kind of like, counting macros, right? You think that you're getting enough protein until you track it, and you're like, I'm not even close,
gosh.
Yeah. It's the same thing with time. And what I'm recognizing, I was like, okay, I do like the ability to reach out. So I really like that idea, because I'm completely mobile. I could pick up tomorrow if I want to.
Yeah.
And so if the right person isn't here, that's okay. And so I do want to continue with that. And I'm realizing that there's something with the schematics of Hinge that when I drop it somewhere else, there is a huge influx.
Yeah.
There is something going on with that.
Well, it's because if a lot of these people have been on the app for a time, being in a new location will put you typically towards the top of the funnel, or if they've already looked through everybody, then you're going to be, amongst the first that show up. But plus the way that you've been doing and getting all these inbounds, you're at the top of the algorithm. Gotcha. You're in good graces. Gotcha. I think we talked about that MMR, right? Which I don't even remember what it stands for. It's a gaming term, but it's basically like an algorithm kind of has, like, based on your performance, a behind the scenes ranking, and your rank has got to be very high with all the inbounds and matches and stuff like that. So it's automatically putting you towards the top of the funnel whenever you pick a different spot.
That's right.
And you're probably in a lot of people's standouts too, which is why you've been getting a decent amount of roses, which is very rare for a guy.
Yeah.
Very rare. I was just talking to a friend yesterday, and I think this is worth pointing out, because I don't know that we've touched on it too much. With what you're talking about, men should absolutely do that. Like, set a certain amount of time. Don't spend more than that time, and have a plan. Like, what am I looking for? Not like, oh, I'm just scrolling, but like, if you see someone and you're not interested, excited, attracted in 5 seconds, swipe left. And I know that sounds mean, but women should be doing the same thing, because people who take the time to set up their profile will be magnetic to you, and people who you likely have a chance at getting along with and being attracted to will capture your attention easily. And I'm not saying that they're the one, but it's just worth matching with them and getting to know them. So just go with your gut and boom, be quick with it. You can get through a lot of profiles. And then also with women, they need to be doing the same thing, but not when they shouldn't be reaching out to match. Like, I don't think women should be initiating matches for the most part. It can happen, sure, but I think it can get really overwhelming because they get inundated with inbounds. So guys are inundated with, like, do I reach out? Do I try to match with this girl? Do I look at this profile, whatnot? And women are like, do I accept the invitation to match with this guy? And so it both can be equally overwhelming, but I think for both genders, 10 or 15 minutes, maybe both at the beginning, end of the day, maybe just at the end of the day, or the beginning, whatever, like you said, depending on your capacity. And just have these rules and set out with intention. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy seeing what's out there, but just have some structure, because it becomes exponentially less overwhelming. And then you don't get bogged down and cynical and thinking the apps don't work. This is the problem. Like, they fall into the scrolling mindset, the TikTok brain, essentially. So I like that you brought that up, because I don't know that we've been that explicit from a tactics standpoint 100%. On how to use the app. And it's just like anything else, consistency, small bites of the elephant, the Rome thing, all those analogies. And I like the macro analogy as well. You really have to audit your time.
You do.
So outside of those two really good connections, I almost said in Rome instead of Reno. In Rome, when in Rome, when in Reno. Was there anything else significant that happened there, or is the rest of the tea in Austin?
So what's interesting is I have found, and I continue to encourage this. So anybody that is listening or following this, I am 100% open to any invitations of anybody across the United States and across the world. who you think after listening to the podcast or, hearing me that, oh, you'd be a really good match for XYZ. So it's my invitation out there to the world that's listening.
I love this.
Feel free to be able to reach out to me, Joel Cochran _ on Instagram, and say, hey, you know what? There's somebody I've come to mind or to my heart, and I'm completely open. And the reason I say that is because there was she's in Idaho, and she runs an online business, and she was bold enough to say, I'm going to go to my socials and say, I'm looking for a man, and here's the man that I'm looking for. And if you know a man like this, send him my way. And I got forwarded that from a friend, right?
Ooh la la.
And so I reached out to her and I said, this is really interesting. I'm doing something very similar. How is it for you? And she's like, I've gotten inundated, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men reaching out to me. And I go, and I get it. And it can feel really, really overwhelming. And my point to that is that when you have the ask, it's again, like there's a reason that says wife or bust, that when I've said, I'm looking for my wife, I've had so many people go, man, I have this really good friend. I have this, right? And we tend to be scared to ask for exactly what we want in life. And to anybody out there, whether it has to do with your relationship, your business, your current partnership, ask for what you want. Be bold enough to say, this is exactly what I want, or this is what I do not like in your relationship, in your work, in your careers, and be able to ask for it, because you'll be so surprised how quickly when you say, this is exactly what I want, how you'll start receiving it. And my point there is that, yes, I started off with this this girl in Idaho, and we talked back and forth, and there wasn't anything that we ended up connecting deeper on. I'm trying to remember her name because I don't want to push her social. Maybe I'll be able to find it at some point in the show. But is that I've gotten a lot of other referrals, like other people who are trying to matchmake me with other people. And so there is my buddy in Australia who matched me with one of his friends, and we've talked for the past 2.5 weeks. She's been in Europe, traveling Europe, and we've been chatting back and forth, and I've just had such a really enjoyable time talking to her. And a lot of audio messages and video messages. It's very playful. It's very fluid. And I just love an Australian accent. And so, yeah, 100%, she's my Australian crush.
Nice.
And there's also someone in Italy, an Italian woman. And 100% she's my Italian crush. My Italy
You're
crush.
collecting crushes by country.
Yes, I'm a country crusher.
It sounds like you just love country music or something. Luke Bryan's going to show up on set.
That's it. And it's just really interesting because it's starting to open up my thought process of, man, is my wife actually even in the United States? Like, is she even here? And I'm bold enough, again, to say to everybody, there isn't a distance that's too far to travel for my wife. Like, if that's my love, I'll cross seas to be able to get to her. And that's not being desperate. That's not saying I'm going to, surrender everything. It's saying I'm willing to go the distance when it comes to love.
Yeah.
And I've also had some people who have referred me in different states, and I had a buddy reach out and shoot me a Instagram of a woman here in Austin, and he's like, dude, you should reach out to her. I pull up her page. She's a 28-time All-American, 2-time Olympic qualifier swimmer.
I know who it is.
I know you know.
Such a small town.
Such a small town. And so I was just like, okay. And so I just shot her. I was like, hey, this may seem like a
She's great.
Off the wall, text or message, but hang in there with me. And then I explained everything that I'm doing. Hey, my buddy, and he runs an affiliate, and this is what I'm doing. And listen, if this interests you at all, right, I'd love to be able to talk to you more.
Yeah.
Right. No response. and I'm not sure yet. You know, she has a big following, and I'm sure there's guys dropping, you know, messages in her, talk about inbound. Like, this could be 6 months from now that I might get a response from her.
Yeah.
And I'm taking my shot, right? Everywhere that I go. And so I've gotten a lot of referrals, Florida and Oregon and Massachusetts, and I'm open to it all. And what's been interesting too is that there was a girl in Florida in which I initiated conversation, and I'm not super great on Instagram. I'm not like Corey.
That's a green flag, though. Like, most women don't want you to be great on Instagram.
Right? And that's what I was. So it ended up being like a 4 weeks later or 3 weeks later that I got back to her, and I said, hey, I apologize, and I appreciate your patience. I don't check my Instagram a ton. If you'd like to exchange numbers, we can definitely engage. And she was like, well, to be honest, like, there's a month without hearing from you, and, you know, I'm not interested. And to me, there was a couple things there. I'm like, okay, well, we've sent 2 Instagram messages, right, back and forth from each other. And I could tell she was in like kind of a defense. She has a kid. She was in defense. I have to look out for my kid, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, it sounds like you're not ready to date, is what it sounds like to me. Because it's not like we initiated, like, there was no closing loop. And if anything, I said, hey, we can jump on a call or do a text. Like, this would be a slow burn anyways. This is not like I'm in the same city as you. Like,
right. And sometimes people are really just like on defense by default versus open by default. Right. And there's probably a reason for that. Yeah. Like, someone probably burned her or upbringing, who knows, right? But that's a difficult foot to start off on.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So that's it. Overall, I wanted to throw that out there in terms of the different people who have been connecting. And I'm so appreciative of everybody out there that has been sending it. Thank you so much. Can keep sending them. Keep sending them.
I love all that. And I have 3 things that I hope I don't forget as I go through them. One, excellent point. Hinge is not the only way. As much as I love that we're going through this, and I've had a lot of experience after divorce, never being on apps and then being on Hinge and going on almost 80 first dates for 2 months of being single, which totaled in 2 periods that totaled in 12 months of being single. I think it's a great tool that it bothers me that people are really negative about it, because you could utilize it and it could work really well. But to your point, I see it as diversifying investments. Yeah. You don't want to have all your money in big tech, right? You want to have like maybe some 401k, Roth, IRA, whatever stocks. Yeah. Clearly, I'm not a finance guy because I'm saying all like the normal shit. You big really tech, maybe some like friends' businesses, Bitcoin, whatever. Yeah. So it's like, approach women in real life. Right. Ask friends or put it on your socials. Do wife or bust. Okay, not everybody can do wife or bust. Maybe one day.
Yeah, sometimes.
Go on Hinge, but be particular about which apps you use, that kind of thing. Look, where are you in your normal week? Look for women there, right? If you go to Sprouts, the gym, dog park, the trail, like, throw a wide net in multiple different areas, because you never know how you're going to meet somebody. So it's a really good point. However, I think the highest probability of success, and I don't like to quote statistics because this stuff is very complex, but statistically, it is a known fact that a friend of a friend or 1 degree removed is the easiest way to meet somebody that's vetted, that you're most likely to get along with. So there might be there are a lot of opportunities, but there might be less than on Hinge, for example. But there's a higher probability that because of your mutual connections, that you are going to have a good experience. That's right. So I recommend doing both.
Yeah.
The second thing was passport bros. Have you heard that term?
No.
So when you're saying, hey, I'm realizing that the woman I might marry or really have a long-term relationship or might get along really well with might not be in the U.S. There's this idea, and I don't necessarily believe it 100%, but there's truth to most things, that American women are a little more entitled than international women. And that, of course, with some American women, that's true. Some are really, the salt of the earth and some of the greatest people you could ever meet. But I think that the same could be said of American men. you know? But from a guy's perspective, if they want like a wholesome woman who's going to be the mother of their children, let the man lead, who is going to like put more emphasis on who they are than what they look like, and alterations and stuff. That is a higher probability of finding that outside the U.S.
Right.
And then because the U.S. is in, like, regardless of what people think about current events, there's a reason why everyone wants to get into the U.S. and bring their businesses to the U.S. It is an ivory tower. And therefore, an American man finding the qualities in a woman internationally,
Right.
of course the woman's going to want. Like, typically you have like a safer life, a more financially stable life. I mean, it depends on the country and stuff like that. But that's a very real thing that's been happening long before we started the show. So they call it passport bros. But that it's a really interesting phenomenon, and we'll see, I guess, how it unfolds as things go. And I forgot the third. I knew I was going to do it. I forgot the third thing, and for the life of me, it was a good one too. But
it's coming back.
Maybe it'll come back for Austin then.
Yep.
Since you got back,
Yep.
what has that experience been like? Because you changed your pins around, did you see experience a really big difference when you got back here in Austin from Reno, or is it pretty much more of the same?
No, still the likes were high. I mean, 30 likes in a week. I think I'm sitting at 30 likes right now. A couple roses, a couple different conversations. Some conversations that got closed. The loop got closed on. One date that I went on, and one potential date that I just sent and asked for, which is like, hey, I'd love to take you on a date. So if you'd like to move this to a phone conversation, or if you'd like me to be able to plan a date, I'm completely up. So that's where I'm currently sitting at. And that's, again, with the thought process of, after coming with so many like inbounds and traveling and just feeling overwhelmed, that I really slowed down in terms of even sending roses or likes. I've really slowed down on it. And
which is great, because like, we talked about structure and consistency, but you already have the formula for how you want to go about doing this. So you can, crank that up or draw it back as needed, and I'm sure there'll be some ebbs and flows with it. So it's just, another pro tip. You're full of pro tips today. Are you professional? For anyone out there, is like, you can like, I would not delete the app, but I would just have the discipline to ramp back. Maybe do it every other day for 10 minutes instead of every day for 10, then bookending the day. Stay consistent, but the frequency and the amount of time or whatever, it's like, do what you need to do. Like, it's not going to change anything in the long run, in my opinion. But just pick the level of consistency that matches the season. So did you have any, like, did you feel, especially because we're working on this together, and you're like, you're ready. Oh, this was the other thing I was going to say, capacity. It'll tie back into this. You're at a state where you have the flexibility to travel because you've earned it. You worked your ass off.
That's right.
So you have stability in your businesses, financially. You know who you are. You know what you want. So for someone like you, it does make sense to be open to like moving the earth and traveling the earth for love, or for the right woman, for your wife. But then there's other people that maybe they're just starting off in their business, or maybe they're in a 9-to-5 and they're grinding and they have limited capacity. I would suggest, if you feel like, hey, I'm facing overwhelm, I'm still kind of like going on dates and figuring out what I want, I'm limited financially, and with time too, then just like date where you are, and that's okay. And you'll still really get a lot of experience that will lead to the right thing, and you won't be in that position forever. But then for people like you, definitely have that apocalyptic creator dating radius, because you can book a flight and work from anywhere and all these things. So that's the other part of capacity that I don't think people always realize, is we all go through these seasons. It's okay if you can't travel to Belize at the drop of a hat for a woman that you're interested in to take her on a date. But you are. So take that advantage. But if you're not in that position, don't shame yourself, and don't not date. That's the other thing. It goes back to the consistency. You're changing not only your frequency, but your level of involvement, or maybe it's a convenience factor, an efficiency factor. But there's, especially if you live in a city, there's always people coming and going. So never be like, oh, it's a city, it's screwed. It's not that. Just keep doing what you need to do, partition your time,
Right.
stay consistent, and don't try to get outside those boundaries, because you'll probably not enjoy that experience.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so that's what I was going to say.
That's
right.
Such a good point, dude. Because it really brings up in terms of like looping it back around, even, you know, the city part. Because I've heard from a lot of different people like, oh, my city is the worst, right?
All the time. I hear that all the time.
Worst. They're the worst. And what I've gotten to now, when people like reach out and they're like, oh, I've done the Hinge, it doesn't work, right? It's not authentic, it's not whatever the case is. I said, send me your profile, right? It's very similar when I work with my business clients. They're like, oh, nothing's working. Cool. Send me all of your data. Let me actually look at how many leads that you're actually trying to produce. How many outbound leads you have? Oh, 0. Oh, no wonder you don't have leads. You know, how often are you actually working on being able to create viable value adds? Oh, never. Oh, why do you think people are going to come in? And so it's the same thing when I get somebody's profile on Hinge and I look through it. I'm like, why do you think you're going to get this quality of a man or woman with this type of a page, right? In terms of the pictures you picked, or the prompts are short, or this isn't, I know you and this isn't authentic to who you are. And that's the part that I'm recognizing, because again, to my point, I went back to Reno and I got a completely different experience. Reno stayed the same.
Yeah.
I changed my profile and said, this is the most authentic version of me. And I started to receive the women that I wanted to talk to, because they went, oh, that's the person I want. That's the authentic person I'm looking for. Yeah. And that right there, to your point, in terms of changing locations, it shows that it's not the location, it's how I'm representing or presenting myself and my intention in this dating. Yeah. And so, anywho,
I think it's an excellent point, and I know we have lots of other things to cover, but I want to keep expounding on it, because I could go on a very angry rant about people who are cynical and jaded, but that doesn't help it. No. So instead, I'll say this: is like, if you think that there's something wrong with your city, you really need to ask yourself, what am I not admitting about how I am treating this situation, how I'm approaching dating? That's right. And to your point, if it's garbage in, garbage out, right? If you don't put time into your app, you're not going to get what you want out of it. Yeah. If you don't put time into your dating experience, and you're like, oh, I'm going to divorce myself from the outcome, I'm the prize, as opposed to getting really curious about what's out there, and who, when you meet someone, why they are the way that they are, then you shouldn't be dating. You know, like you need to have that excitement and that curiosity and that sense of adventure, because it is an adventure. And if you don't look at it like an adventure, it won't be an adventure. Yeah. And it'll be miserable. And really, ultimately, like, yes, bad things happen, and there's some weird shit that goes on in the modern dating world. Sure. So there's always going to be exceptions. Right. But the majority of the time, you can dictate how your dating experience goes. And I get it though. I used to be cynical about it when I first got on the app. So that's why my first stretch of 9 months was so many dates, because I wasn't showing up authentically on the app. Yeah. I was trying to close the sale, selling myself to whoever's sitting across the table on the first date. And I had a lot to learn about myself post-divorce. But after, 54 dates and 9 months, I found a relationship. After 2.5 years of a good relationship that I learned a lot from, I had a much shorter dating period. And then I decided to not date for a little bit. And when I came back to it, after all that experience, I was, again, unabashedly myself. I know I use that term a lot, but I think it's very important. And in 10 days, I had 7 first dates lined up with women I was genuinely excited about going on a first date. Wow. And I couldn't have done that first go around where it took me 9 months. Right. So I had to stop being cynical, and I had to look like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I know what I want. I have my confidence, and that changes the game. It's just a wild difference. And I think you've gone through the same evolution in a much quicker way, because we're working on this, but also because like you have a lot of experience with your business and how you are. So you've expedited the process. And I mean, if we look at episode 1 to now, which has probably only been 3-ish months, I would say how you're speaking to me and what your app looks like is night and day. So if you can do it, when we're kind of just like fumbling through it together, anyone who's listening, between listening to the rest of the episodes and the guide, they can get there like that. But there is a big mental piece though of being willing to take responsibility versus saying these are the circumstances the world has laid out, and therefore I give up.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
that's right. Yeah. That's it. It's that what we talk about in my program is external to internal and internal to external. Right, we tend to be external and internal, which is the victim mentality. Right, what is happening outside here affects me, instead of internal to external. What I do in here affects the world outside of me, and it's the changing of the story that truly matters. And that you've heard me multiple times of just like, I have seen this experience as so beautiful. Being rejected, rejecting others, and seeing the transformation, and talking with one another. It truly has been beautiful. That's my story, and I refuse to go any other way. And so I engage in that very purposely when I'm dating, when I'm closing the loop. I'm intentional. I take my time to plan things. What you put in, you guys, is what you're going to get out. I spent probably 15 hours on my app. I built it out like a website.
But that was up front, and you've done very minimal, like you've made adjustments.
Correct.
But it's not hard to upkeep.
No,
just the upfront work.
And I've made slight adjustments and different things I've noticed of what women are looking for, what they'll comment. And I said, oh, that is me. Why don't I put that in my prompt? Yeah. And so I've changed a couple of my prompts and a couple of my pictures here and there. And it's still getting a high level of hits, which is, again, guys, what you put in. And I'm a good dude. I've put a lot of time into myself. Right. And I still hone on myself of going like, I have to present myself well. And so I need to put in the effort to put myself out there. And you can tell, to your point, of the people who are like, oh no, I'm a catch. So, they're going to find me, and I'll just put very minimal effort into this. It's like,
it's a turnoff.
I'm going to pass right by you.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass right by you. Yeah. I want to see what you're saying in your profile. I want to see you with a big smile, or I want to see you being active. Those are all things that are going to turn me on or turn me off. And so that's
it's not like we're being anti self-love, and self-value. It's okay for people to know, like you just said, oh, I put a lot of work into myself. I'm a good person. Yeah, that's a healthy thing to say, but you're not over here saying, oh, I'm going to put my profile together and not put any effort into it. Right. Oh, man. So it's like, they're not, because I think some people out there are like, well, I love myself so much, I'm going to let the universe give me what I deserve. And it's like, well, other people don't know you. That might be true. Maybe you did a lot of work. Maybe you appreciate yourself. Maybe you used to be in a worse place and you're in a better place. That's how most people are. But if you don't put effort into sharing yourself with someone, they won't know that about you. So you can't expect them to see you be like, look, this person's done all the work. I can see it on their forehead.
Yeah, that's right. It says you got the green check mark on your forehead.
The blue, the Instagram blue check mark of dating.
You wear the badge, right? You've taken care of all your deepest traumas and balanced out and have a great work-life balance. Oh, great. Yeah.
But what you're talking about comes down to two things: effort and agency. And I've never said that together before, but I think that's really what a lot of what we're talking about boils down to, because you have the agency to believe that, oh, what I'm doing, there will be something that pays off in the long run, and it's not, I'm not powerless in this situation. And then the effort is, I know my value, but I'm still going to put forth effort because I want to meet someone who will put forth effort to me as well. That being said, since we're set up and you're like honestly glowing with confidence and you've had all of these inbounds and whatnot, when you got back to Austin, you said, did anything really change with the apps? Like you had how many inbounds when you got back?
Probably about 30.
And you went on one date.
I did go on one date.
And it's one because you know what you want and there's not been a lot that's been exciting you since you got back, or is it, like you said, you're kind of triaging your time?
I condensed it down, right, so that there wasn't multiple conversations going on. And what I've come down to is going like, what I can manage, and that's not saying that other people can, but what I can manage is about 2 conversations at a time. And so it helps me to be even more intentional of being able to go, if I see this person has liked me, do I want to take a spot of conversation, right? Or do I want to go, no, I really like the conversations I'm having here, so I'm actually going to pass on this and be
Love
able
that,
to
dude.
allow myself, and I have a big, big belief in this, is that you cannot lose something you're meant to have. And so we too much think I have this like desperate feeling that if I pass on this person, they'll never come back around. And that's not true. That's not true, whether it's back on the app or whether it's in life.
Yeah.
You have to be able to believe that what is meant to be mine will be mine, and I cannot lose it. And it brings bigger intention of being bigger intention of being able to say, am I going to take one person out, close the loop to bring this person in?
Yeah.
Instead of have 7 different conversations going on and then just drop off on conversations, because that doesn't feel good. Because I've been on the opposite side. I'm like, oh, I'm really interested. I'm talking to you. And then there's just no more conversation that happens. And I want to be intentional with this, not only with myself, but the people that, whose hearts I'm catering to. And I believe it's something that us as men don't focus on enough.
Yeah.
Men tend to be selfish. It's what I deserve, what I want, and screw this girl, and I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah.
And it's like you're being reckless with people's hearts and emotions.
Yep.
And even how intentional I am, I noticed that by having multiple conversations, I was like, and it's very similar to the. I believe we talked about this in the last one, that I was quite excited about meeting this woman. She had 2 kids. She had a business here in Austin and in Denver. Like, looking at her profile, just like had a very like strong grounding presence, and I'm like, wow, that's really attractive to me. And we had talked a little bit. Then I went to Reno, and I was gone for a while, and when I came back, I said, hey, I'd love to be able to jump on a call. And she said, no, thank you. Just straight up like, nope, I'm good. No explanation, no anything else. And as we've talked before, I've really worked on just being able to go, okay, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at, and allowing to slide. And there's this other part of me of being able to go, okay, well, why not actually ask as well? And so that's something I've definitely been wrestling around in my head. But my point here is that, okay, that loop got closed, and the reason it got closed is I was gone for like 4 or 5 days. She didn't feel I was communicating with her. We had already moved it to text message.
Yeah.
I wasn't fully transparent in the forefront, and I thought I was. When I looked back, I'm like, oh, dang, I didn't, And again, with so many different things that are going on, it wasn't intentional. Like, I don't want to talk to you. It's like, oh, shoot, like there were so many things going on. I'm sorry.
That's a good symptom, though. And then you address the underlying issue, essentially. Because if conversations are flowing through the cracks, and it's not like you're ghosting someone, you genuinely were like, 4 or 5 days, and then, that's like, oh, maybe I should reduce the number of women I'm talking to at one time, or how much time I'm spending on the apps, or how many dates I'm going on at a week or a month or whatever. It's like, that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. Life is messy, and we're all just doing our best for the first time, know? But I really like that you said specifically 2 is the limit on the app for conversations. For me, it was 5 to 7, but I had my other rule that's in the book about only date one woman at a time. That doesn't mean you can't have conversations and meet women, but only actively take out one woman at a time on a date. And that means, like, so let's say you have A and B in Hinge, Angela and Burnett. I don't know why those are the A and B. Let's say like you had a first date with Angela. I wouldn't unmatch Burnett or stop talking to her, but I wouldn't take her on a first date until I had closed the loop with Angela personally.
Right.
And I think, and then, like you said, it's like it holds you accountable. You're not wasting people's times or emotions or capacity or your own. You talk about these guys that are being reckless with other people's emotions. What they don't realize is they're being reckless with their resources too. They're wasting their time. And even though they have this front of like, I'm just dating casually, they're affected deep down. They just don't have the balls to say it.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. And then it just keeps them from ever getting to where they do want to be in a relationship one day. It's essentially sweeping all this stuff under the rug, and you're going to have to pay the piper eventually with doing that. So I think this is really good for people to hear, because it doesn't make somebody evil, but as guys, we have our challenges. Women have their challenges too. I can't speak to that, but I can say from the app standpoint, it's very difficult to not be tempted by dating casually. And it's very difficult to have the foresight with every decision along the way. Do I match with this person on the app?
Right.
Do I continue to chat with them? Do I
right.
take them on a first date? Like every one of those decisions, you should be thinking like, is this fair to them? Is this fair to me?
That's right.
And I think that will make it easier.
That's right.
And you have a lower probability of getting cynical and jaded, like we talked about before.
Yes.
So, Austin.
Yes.
There was a woman, the one woman you went on a date with.
Jay Digg. I'm gonna call her Jay Digg.
Jay Digg?
Jay Digg.
Okay. I love it.
Plays volleyball, right? The Dig.
Oh, the Dig.
The Dig.
Yeah.
The Dig.
How did that go?
Oh man, I was really excited about this, and I could tell that both of us were really excited about it. Not only looking at her profile, I thought she was beautiful, and I really enjoyed what she said on her profile. And we ended up getting on a phone call, which is something that I've been advancing to a lot more, is being able to go, okay, let's get on a phone call first. And we sat, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half on a call, and we talked about all kinds of different things from life to volleyball, right? She obviously knows you. That's no surprise. And talked about God. Talked about and it was just really good. And I said, well, shoot, let's do this. And it was either literally the next night, or I was like, hey, or it's not going to be until next week, because our schedules were both booked up.
Which brings me to one other point you mentioned earlier. You said, like, when you were traveling or whatnot, you're like, oh, it takes 7 to 10 days to kind of like match and get a first date. That's normal. Partially because you're traveling, there's logistics, but also if you're not traveling, women just take a little while to warm up because there's more risk, for them from a safety perspective, all these other things. So it's very rare to meet somebody and like have this energy, be like, okay, let's hang out tomorrow night. Some people are like, oh, that's red flag. I wouldn't say that, especially if you're dating with intention like you are. Like, there's a woman who's excited to go on a date with you, run with that, because it's typically a really good experience. So how did it go?
It was really great. One of the things I set up in terms of the date, as we've talked about, like, what I'm avoiding is like, oh, okay, let's meet at this coffee shop. Let's meet at this coffee shop. Let's meet at this coffee. Let's take a walk around.
And why are you avoiding that?
I'm avoiding those because, again, I'm setting up with intention. So it's like, I'm not looking for as much volume. Of course, I'm casting the net, but like I'm saying, you are at a 5 to 7. I'm at a 1 to 2. So I'm being very intentional of like, who am I engaging with? And then if I'm going to engage with you, then I'm going to go, okay, I want to know you so that I can set up this date.
Yeah.
So that it is enjoyable for the both of us, regardless of whether we proceed forward or not.
And I did the same thing for the same reason. Even though I had 5 to 7 conversations, it was one date at a time. And I would say over 90, maybe 95% of my dates were dinner dates for the same reason. Yeah. I went on maybe 2 coffee dates and 1 walk date. 1 coffee date, I made a friend, because that's what you do with friends. You go to get coffee. The other coffee date, I'm like, why am I here? And the other walk, I like try to say, hey, let's just do something. But she was adamant. And then the whole walk, I was like, I should have trusted my gut. I should have trusted my gut. For me, those never go well. Those never go well. But it depends on who you are and where you're at. But like you said, this is who you are. You're dating with intention. You know your efforts and your preferences. That's right. So you got this whole schematic lined up. That's great.
Yeah. It helps me to keep, one of the things, right, being a life coach is like learning your boundaries, right? And boundaries aren't to keep other people out, it's to keep you in, right? So if I go outside of my boundary, I put myself in danger. And I always talk about like when you have the cattle inside the fencing, right? The cattle's actually safe inside the fencing because anything that's going to get in there is going to get trampled by the group, right? Yeah. By the herd. But as soon as you open the gate and they start going out, they're just going searching for grass. So they're just going to be all over the place. Yeah. And so this is my boundary for myself, is being able to go, if I go outside this boundary and I want 5 or 6 or 7, I tend to have people-pleasing tendencies, right? I don't want to get rejected. I don't want to reject other people. That becomes really a lot. Plus, I'm running these businesses. And I have a short amount of time. Now I'm not intentional with it. So I got to create these boundaries for myself, knowing myself, to be able to go, okay, could I have 5 to 7? like you, 100%. And I believe it'd be really successful.
But right
now, no, right? And so, coming back to the date with Jay Digg, one of the things that I did was go, this is the first time that I've done this. I gave her 3 options. So I said, we can do pick up dinner at Whole Foods, either in the E-Class or on the e-bike, which was very playful, right? Because I talked to her about Black Lane and how I love having like really high class like drivers come pick me up and do the bougie
What
thing.
a contrast. They may both start with E, but they couldn't be more different.
It couldn't be more different, right? It's like either, Jared the butler is going to come pick us up, or we're jumping on Corey's e-bike, right?
Yep.
Where I'm like,
high chance of death,
hold on to the back, right? You're going to have to put on a helmet, right? I know you did your hair.
Oh yeah.
Right. The whole deal, right? So I offered being able to meet her at her place, and we'd walk to a restaurant that was around the corner. Or I said, hey, I'll pick up food and we can take you and Peanut to Zilker, which is our dog, and we'll have a picnic there. So 3 different contrasting things. She ended up picking the e-bike, and I was
nice.
Like, rad.
That's cool.
Oh, super cool.
So it's like playful, adventurous.
Yeah, that's the type of woman that she is. Just a very playful and open woman. And so I show up, and man, I had the hardest time. This is not usually me. I'm like, what do I wear?
Huh.
Because I'm jumping on an e-bike.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, I'm going to wear like my nicer clothes. Like I'm riding through the streets. Like, it has obviously been rainy. And so there's some puddles and there's some, and I'm like, and I was thinking like, gosh, if I just wear my athletic shorts and my shirt, like, is she going to show up and be wearing something nicer?
Yeah, like a sundress or something.
Something. And even though that she knows she's getting on an e-bike, but I'm like, do you know what it's going to be like being on an e-bike?
So did you tell her what you were going to wear, or tell her what to wear?
I never thought about that. That was a great idea.
I used to hate this, but women love it generally. Like the very big blanket statement, but like they want to know what they need to do for the occasion. I'm not trying to critique you at all, but it's just a really good point, because I've not always been good at this either, but especially like first impression standpoint, you're like, hey, since you wanted to, I like that you're still leading. Guys think like you have to plan the whole thing and they don't have a say. That's not, leading is saying, hey, this is my idea, what do you think? And then you take that input and you make a decision and you proffer something else. And it's like this ping pong effect, and it should be like that. And so you did that really well, but perhaps something in the future, or for anybody else who's offering things like this, is like, oh, bike. It's like, hey, well, I was going to dress to the nines for you, and with my kickers to boot. But since we're going on the e-bike, I'm thinking about like athleisure. I think you should do the same, since we're just going to whatever. Idea. And then they could say yes or no too. Like, they're like, no, actually I want to wear this. It's like, that's fine. But at least you throw the idea out there.
That was something I struggled with. You just solved my answer. Thank you very much. Everybody write that down.
Or if it's a dinner date and it's like, you're like really excited to get to know her, and it's a semi-nice place, you can be like, hey, I'm gonna be putting on my second best
scale
suit.
Of 1 to 10. I'm going.
I did this. That's what I did for Mallory. Like I said, a scale, but I forget what 1 was and what 10 was. It was something hilarious to show that I know nothing about fashion. But you could say, oh, I'm gonna be wearing my second best suit, and so like you dress however you'd like to, but something like elegant or that you enjoy wearing would be great. And then do you say, well, what's the first best suit? And you're like, well, that's not rated PG, so I'll, because like birthday, anyhow.
Here we go, this guy.
So go ahead. Don't take notes on everything I say.
That's right. Pick and choose. And so I show up, and of course she dressed up, and she's, looks beautiful. And I was, now we're talking about it, I'm like, I bet you if I would have said what.
Was she in the dress?
No, but she was in like, she had these nice, like, long, flowy, like, pants on,
The way that you're moving your head.
And she looked great. She had these beautiful earrings in, and her hair was all done, and she just looked great. And here I was like, well, here's your helmet. And I'm showing my quads in my high athletic shorts.
Quadzilla
it out, right? And But she was such a trooper, and we ended up jumping on the e-bike. And talk about get close and gain trust real quick. Okay, you're gonna have to be on the back of me. You need to hold on to me. Okay, this thing goes 35 miles an hour. You need to hold on to me,
Yeah.
right? And you need to trust me that I'm going to drive safely and get you to the destination you need to get to. And so for her to trust me was, a very honoring thing.
Yeah.
And so we go to the store, we get some salmon, we get all the food. When I came in, I said, "Hey, you're the cook. I'm gonna follow you on this one, right?" And so, we obviously talked it through, but I want to be like, "Hey, like the feminine energy of going, and you're gonna be the cook, and you're gonna cook tonight. Great, then take me through it. I'd love that."
Yeah.
So we do that. We hop back on the bike. We head back. We get to her place, which again, a lot of trust to be able to say, "Hey, come into my place.
Yeah.
I'll cook." And she had a dog, Peanut, and Peanut's a super cute dog, high anxiety dog. And so I could see the dog's anxiety, and I could all see her anxiety. Because
as a
the dog was
byproduct.
being anxious, she was being anxious, and she was trying to control it. And so we were trying to prepare she was trying to prepare the food. I was just trying to pet the dog and be like, "Hey, why don't we all chill here?"
Yeah.
Right. And we went outside on our balcony at one point. So I was just like, "Hey, what's out here?" And so get some fresh air. And then I turned to her and I said, "Hey, why don't we just go get dinner somewhere else? You can put that in the fridge. You can hold on to that. Let's go somewhere else. I kind of feel the anxiety that's going on." And she's like, "Yeah, I am having anxiety, with my dog and so on and so forth." And so we ended up going to Loro. I don't know if you've ever been to Loro or not. And sitting outside, we ended up I got all kinds of food because I was hungry at that point. It was getting late, and I was just like, I haven't ate.
Yeah.
And so I was just ordering everything on the menu. And we sat and we had such a wonderful conversation. We talked deeply about God. There was a moment of just me really reflecting with her about, the bold decisions she's made in her life to be able to follow Christ. And just a super, super inspiring conversation that I had with her. And interesting enough, even though everything was great, we had this fun time, we were on the e-bike, we had great conversation. As soon as I dropped her off, I was like, it's not there.
You knew it right away.
And it wasn't there.
And it doesn't have, just because you have a beautiful interaction doesn't mean that that's it.
I know.
But when it's not it, this is the best case scenario.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would have been had you not done everything we just talked about for the whole episode.
That's right.
Right. In terms of dating with intention, figuring out how you want to do the first date, and also being in tune enough with your observation with her to offer a real-time alternative / solution for the anxiety piece. You probably imagine had you guys stayed, that even if she is a wonderful person and maybe you had good conversation, probably not to the degree that you had. So even though it doesn't work out, mutually beneficial, beautiful experience.
100%.
So then when did you choose to close the loop if you knew right after the date that's how you felt?
24 hours, that's my, I had a full day the next day of coaching and business meetings and everything else.
So did this pop into your mind some during the day?
Yeah, I knew that I wanted to close the loop, and now I was looking into my calendar and like, oh my gosh, I don't have a ton of time. And so it wasn't until later at night, but I ended up sending an audio message, which is the first time I've closed the loop, right? Because we've talked about it.
Yeah.
And I recorded this probably about 2 minute long, but just really reflecting on the night and hitting all the positives about her and our experiences throughout the night, and just how much I honor her as a woman. And I'm actually sad because I didn't feel that connection, and you're such an incredible person, and I know what I'm seeking for, and I want that for you too as well. And then she sent me back just such an incredible audio message as well, and reflected a lot of the same things. And I'm sitting there, and I was literally starting to get this emotion bubbling up in me, tears in my eyes, because I'm like, this is the beauty that people could experience when they allow themselves to be completely authentic and vulnerable and be secure enough to be able to receive rejection in a space of healthy happiness and love and this very strong space. And it just, I was moved by it. I was really, really moved by it. And this is this experience that I'm just going like, this is incredible. And I wish every single person on this planet can experience this. And I hope it someday that Wife or Bus grows and other people can experience this, because with the right intention, with managing your emotions and dealing with the traumas in the past and your hurts and your downfalls and everything else, you will see the best in people. And some of the best people are on Hinge, not the worst. And that's what's so unfortunate, is that people have had so many poor encounters because there's hurt hearts out there, and they think that online dating is the enemy, and it's not. It's one of the most richest places to be able to help other people heal, because healed people heal people, and hurt people hurt people.
That's beautifully said, man. And I wonder oftentimes if, again, you have to kind of go into it knowing how it all works. But once you have a plan and you're following everything that we're talking about, and then your own, you add to it, right? Yeah. You're going to add flavors of things that we haven't discussed that make it work in your favor. It really changes the game. Yeah. And to your point about healing people, heal people. I recently, as I've had, group coaching and publishing the book and one-on-one coaching, I've seen a theme where people think that you need, and I've gone on this rant a lot recently, where people need to be alone in order to grow or learn or heal. Sure, solitude sprinkled throughout your routine in your life is absolutely necessary. What's not necessary is being isolated from human connection. And now I'm not saying if you're in a bad spot, go and be in a bunch of relationships or date to distract yourself from the problem. Not what I'm saying at all. In fact, I would advise against that. But sometimes the best healing will not come from being alone. It will not come from solitude. It will come from a beautiful experience, even if that experience is fleeting, or a relationship that may not last forever, but it lasts as long as it needs to, and it serves a purpose for you both. It's not about extracting something. It's about this mutually beneficial risk and growth that comes with that. And so I really like what you said, because again, imagine if everybody had an experience like that. We wouldn't have people who are cynical and jaded about the dating world. We wouldn't have people who are withholding the truths that they need to share up front with people to set appropriate expectations. And speaking of expectations, think about this. Let's say you find your wife. I found 2 girlfriends through Hinge. Both have been substantial, long-term, serious relationships. I went on almost 80 first dates. That's 2 of them. I don't know how much time I spent on the app. I probably matched with like over 1,000 women, or tried to match with like 1,000, 1,200 women, whether that was in real life by like approaching them, matching with them, or on the apps. And it boils down to 2. So if you go into it setting your expectation like, oh, there's like 1 in 100, maybe like 1 in 4 or 5, maybe 1 in 1,000, that'll be a really good relationship. So I should expect to shoot for this, what you just experienced, 99.9% of the time. And then it's like, oh, I'm not failing. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with these other people. This is just how it's going to play out. And when you set that expectation up front, then you start to gamify, how do I make this a beautiful experience? Right. Because that's the expectation. But one of those beautiful experiences will evolve into something else. You just don't know when it's going to hit you or who it's going to be until you have those beautiful experiences. So that is really the poster child of what I hope people experience, like you said, as we grow and as you get your wife, and as people just start to date with more intention. I think there's a trend to that. Yeah, there is too. So I'm super optimistic about it.
Me too.
For Austin, and perhaps this is a good place to wrap up. You closed the loop with Jenna. She sent you a voice message back that brought you to tears. It was beautiful. What's next? I really don't know, because sometimes you and I talk outside the podcast and when we hang out and with our friends, game night, whatever. But I don't know what's on the docket for you next. Like you've triaged your time down. Do you have another date that you're excited about? Do you have inbounds? Are you sending out roses? Like what's going on?
Yeah, I've had a lower amount of time on the app in terms of sending likes and roses. So, you know, obviously what you put in is what you get out. And so I'm going to spend some next time in this next, actually, that's not true. I take that back. I'm going to hike the Grand Canyon. So
are you really?
There's going to be
awesome.
be some,
A hiatus.
And so even getting on this date, right now, there's one person in my inbox that I initially saw. And at the time, I was already talking to two people in the inbox. And so I went, you know what, I'm going to pass. Like it wasn't like I have to, like this blowing my mind. And I don't know if you're necessarily going to get that from just a profile page, right? Or it's just going to be like, and she ended up liking my page. And at that time I had closed the loop on one. And so there was another one in the inbox and I was like, okay, cool. So I ended up initiating the conversation, and last night I sent out the message saying like, hey, I would love to be able to connect. If you're interested in going on a date, I'd love to be able to plan something for the both of us, or we can grab a call. What's best for you? And so that was the last message I sent. We'll see when she connects, right? I'm taking off for the Grand Canyon, but Saturday night I have some time, so it's a possibility that tomorrow night we'll be able to connect on a date. And then I'm going to continue to, you know, have my ass with people that are in my circle and my community, is saying, hey, send it on over. Like,
I totally thought you said, I'll have my ass. I missed the K there for a second. Did you have anyone sent to you yet that you were interested in or talked to from, like, I mean, I know you just made the ask for everyone listening, but in terms of like your community and your friends since this Idaho girl, what, has there been anything that's come out of that of interest or that you'd like to share?
Well, the Australian,
oh, that's right,
that I talked about, I really enjoyed talking to her, and the plan is actually she's going back to Australia, and so the plan is to actually link up and do a FaceTime or Zoom, whatever's going to work out, and it's going to be a lot of fun because I followed her through her trip, you know, on Instagram, and she was posting and she was doing all her stories, and we'd be audio messaging basically every day, and the time was a lot different. When I was messaging at night, it was, nighttime, she was already asleep kind of deal.
The next day.
Yeah, it was the whole gig, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a big time difference, but it'll be interesting to be able to connect with her and chat with her, because I've just really, really enjoyed getting to know her. So those are the two things on that docket right now.
But your Italy crush, was that also like from a friend or a connection, or?
So that actually is from I'm her business development coach.
Oh,
so
that's no go. Sorry, I wouldn't assume anything.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. And here's the thing: like, she doesn't know that I'm crushing on her.
Well, now she does.
Well, she's watching the show. Yeah, she knows. And or she's guessing,
2 or 3 weeks.
Or she's guessing now.
Totally
she's like, wait, is
how
that
many
me?
Italian clients does he have?
I do have a decent amount of Italian clients.
All right, good. The smoke screen. We're good.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, we've chatted back and forth, and I've really enjoyed chatting with her too as well, and haven't made the necessary move of being like, oh, let's jump on a FaceTime and let's talk. And we've talked some personal stuff, and it's been really nice. And I just think she's super, super sweet, and I really want to get over to Italy. There's some, like, this deep feeling. I'm like, is my wife in Italy? Like, am I supposed to live in Italy? And there's this deep feeling of like, I'm supposed to marry an Italian woman.
Really? My buddy just sent this to me. Molly and I have been together for 6 months after we went on our first date on January 7th. And I met her in Hinge, for the record, for those who haven't seen the past episodes. And my buddy was like, oh, mad Italian wife vibes. And I'm like, Italian wife vibes, is that a thing? He's like, totally.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, but I'm all for it. So I think there's something to what you're saying. But I think it's just like this, like, I don't know, a woman who's not afraid of the sun, who's like has children, makes good food, fresh food, Mediterranean, like has some passion, some spice.
I can't even get to that point. I just feel like it's down into my belly of just like, I'm supposed to be over there.
All right.
There isn't even like logic that goes with it, really. Honestly, it's just like I feel like I need to be in Italy.
Next episode, we're doing it, and you're just in Italy. Yeah, with your wife. So Wife or Bus is over. Just kidding.
It's done. Yeah, I'm speaking in Italian.
Okay. So next time, I will see if you went on a date before the Grand Canyon. Maybe you go on a date in the Grand Canyon. We don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll see about Italian or Australian. Your passport bros, your passport interests.
Yep.
Your country crushes.
Yep.
I'm excited, man. And as always, I don't know that I say this enough. People don't realize the kind of level of vulnerability and courage it takes to do exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Not only for the benefit of hoping to find your wife, but also for everyone else that's watching. So on behalf of everybody and myself, thank you for sharing. Because it's really, we get so many messages from not even just friends, but random people who found the show. And it's like, we started small and we're growing quick, and this has been very impactful. So please feel free to reach out to us, whether you want to challenge something we said, add to it, you have a story to share, let us know how it's motivated you, let us know how we can cover this to be more helpful for everyone. But also, huge thank you, Joel, for really like being the guinea pig and for sharing.
100%.
All right.
That's it.
See you next time.
See you guys.